to talk about my breastfeeding journey because it has been a journey to say the least. When I had my daughter, I was so driven to breastfeed and have that moment. When they put her on my chest, I wanted her to latch and I wanted us to have that contact. Well, all of that went out the window when I had an unplanned emergency C-section and baby girl was not able to do that right away. Because it was an emergency C-section, they quickly gave her to the NICU team and then straight to my husband because I was unable to hold her, unfortunately. I had an infection and I was shaking so badly that I was not comfortable holding her. So I did not get that moment. My husband did. My husband got to feed her a bottle. So her very first intake of food was formula. And I still have a hard time with that just because I didn't get that moment with her that I so desperately wanted. In the hospital, we practiced latching and she latched immediately and she had a really good latch. So that was not a problem. It was actually pretty amazing. I thought to myself, if all of this has been going so wrong, breastfeeding is probably the thing that's going to go right. So once we came home from the hospital, baby girl was still latching great. She was taking what I thought was a full feed. She did lose about 10 ounces after she was born. She was 7 pounds, 12 ounces, and she went down to 7 pounds, 2 ounces, but she gained it all back within a week, which is really great. Our pediatrician was super happy with that. So we thought, oh, baby girl is just going to be gaining weight. 2 weeks postpartum is when I started to feel like there was a struggle. Baby girl was extremely fussy in the evenings. Thought for sure we had a colicky baby because it was every single day for hours. She was unconsolable. We were trying everything we could. Fed, she was changed, she was burped, all of the above. We didn't know what to do. I immediately called our pediatrician after one really bad night and I was very desperate for what to do. She recommended that I take dairy, green leafy vegetables, chocolate, and caffeine all out of my diet. Everything out of my diet because they said that baby girl was probably very gassy. They also recommended that I incorporate gas drops and gripe water into our routine as well as bicycle kicks. As a freshly postpartum mom, to hear that you cannot have certain things in your diet is extremely overwhelming. I was just trying to survive at this point of making sure that I was even eating enough, let alone now I am restricted what I can't eat. Of course, I'm going to do whatever my baby girl needs. Now, I did notice quite a relief from her once I did take all of that out of my diet, but I knew I could not have dairy and not have caffeine at the same time. That was just going to be impossible. So I brought back caffeine first because obviously as a new mom, you need caffeine. So I brought caffeine back into my diet first. She seemed fine. After about a week, I decided to bring dairy back into my diet and she did not do fine. She had a hard time. So we quickly realized that dairy was probably the culprit in this situation. In my heart, I just felt like something wasn't quite right. Sure enough, we go to our appointment and didn't lose any weight. However, she's not gaining it to where her growth curve would show. She did dip in the growth curve a little bit. She was in around the 50th percentile and dropped down to the 15th percentile. And so this was concerning to our pediatrician. Pediatrician was quick to say that I was a low supplier. I was also pumping after feeding her and I was producing plenty of ounces for my daughter, if not more, so I could freeze it and store it. So I knew that I was not a low supplier. She also asked me what my fat level in my breast milk was and I said it was extremely low and she said, oh, that's another reason why baby girl isn't gaining weight is because you have little to no fat in your breast milk, which made me feel terrible because I knew I wasn't eating enough as a mom. I knew that I should be doing more for my diet as a breastfeeding mom. And so I felt really bad. She said, just start really intaking high fatty foods like avocado and eggs and things like that. The pediatrician said that after every single breastfeeding session, I should be offering my daughter a 2-ounce bottle of formula to make sure she's getting what she needs. I did not follow this advice. I decided that I was going to be pumping and giving her my breast milk instead because I was producing plenty. I wish I could go back and tell myself to not do this because I completely stopped breastfeeding and I only was exclusively pumping and giving bottles to my daughter because then I became obsessed with how many ounces she was getting now that I could see what she was getting and what she was taking. And I realized she was not taking enough. Once I started to offer her bottles with 3 to 4 ounces in them and she was taking them, she became way more content. However, there were little moments of her being a content little baby. There was a lot more fussy moments still. Leading up to her 3-month appointment, I took a peek in her mouth because her latch on her bottle, her lips were tucked in. They were not flanged out. And so I just had a feeling that this was not normal. So I took a peek in her mouth and I saw that she probably had a lip tie. I didn't think she had a tongue tie, but I for sure saw a lip tie there. I quickly made an appointment for a lactation consultant that also off tongue tie procedure at the office the same day that we were going to Blake's 3-month pediatrician appointment. Pediatrician appointment, sure enough, her weight was not growing with her growth curve. Pediatrician also diagnosed my daughter with reflux. She also took a peek in her mouth after I told her I think she has a tongue tie. She took a peek at it and said, nothing to write home about. I don't think that's something that you need to be revised. I think she's fine. She's doing great. I see no other concerns. The way she was eating was just not effective at all, and I knew that something needed to change. A couple hours later, we went over to the lactation appointment, and this is when I was confirmed that yes, my daughter not only had a lip tie, she also had a tongue tie and 2 cheek ties. She couldn't properly latch, she couldn't properly suck, she could not properly take in milk. The lactation consultant also advised me that she probably was not latching, therefore sucking in a lot of air, which was causing her to have reflux. All of this validated me, yet made me feel so terrible because this now had been 3 months struggles for my daughter that I feel like I could have avoided if I were to have been guided in the right direction within a week or 2 of my daughter being born. Our lactation consultant recommended that we feed baby girl in a side lying position, so we fed her on her side facing out with the bottle. We did try to breastfeed again, but baby girl had developed a bottle preference and not latch on my breast anymore. So continue breastfeeding, and I just felt like there was no way I was going to be able to do that now that she had developed a preference. After about a week of really trying to strengthen her latch, we noticed a big difference. She was even able to suck on a pacifier, which in the beginning she just could not. They rechecked her latch and confirmed that we probably should go ahead with a procedure to revise all of her ties. It's really hard, I'm not gonna lie, but it was the best thing we could have done for her because baby girl had such a better latch. She was more comfortable. We got that done around 3.5 months of baby girl, and now she is almost 6 months, and I am so happy to say that we have seen the biggest improvement. We also did end up starting her reflux medication because we went to another pediatrician for a second opinion, and the pediatrician confirmed with us that yeah, she most likely has reflux. I highly recommend starting that medication. So we did. Just started having her eat solid. Growth percentile dipped all the way down to about the 6% in weight, and now she's back up to the 15th, and so we are slowly but surely making our way back up. I am still exclusively pumping and giving baby girl bottles because she will not latch. I am also fortifying her breast milk with some formula just to add in some extra calories. Myself a goal of 6 months once I realized that I couldn't have dairy because I knew this was going to be such a struggle for me. We're almost at 6 months. We are a couple days out and I don't know how to feel. I go back and forth all the time that I need to do what's best for me, but at the same time, I need to do what's best for my daughter. Extremely grateful that I am supplying plenty of milk for her, and I feel like I should continue for that reason alone. Pumping every 3 hours is extremely hard and it's mentally draining. I feel like I am attached to a machine for a majority of my day, and I feel like it does take away from my daughter and being able to play with her, cuddle with her, because I have these machines on me. So love any advice or feedback on the journey to start weaning yourself from pumping or why you decided to continue. So to say the least, my breastfeeding journey has not been easy. It has been a struggle, but I am so grateful that I am able to provide for my daughter. And I am so happy that we figured out what the problem was, and my daughter is now so much more content and happy and just the sweetest little angel there ever was. Yes! Huh. I love you.